is March 23rd, 2023. We are going to begin our proclamation portion of the city. We have several proclamations. We're recognizing several folks, and we'd like to get started with that. Where's Reyes? Okay, we're waiting for one commissioner to come on inside. In the meantime, we are going to call up.
You see, I'm always bossed by.
Come on. So we've had the honor of recognizing some fantastic women. Today continues our celebration of Women's History Month. We had a lovely breakfast upstairs and recognized some women for their exceptional accomplishments and service to our community, and we're going to continue that today.
Oh, it'd be a pleasure. Well, good morning. Thank you for being here. And I think it's it's an honor now that we are recognizing some great ladies and for their achievement and also for their, professionalism, I would say. And as I was saying back in the breakfast, we have to understand that women rule. You see, I learned that at a young age when I was bossed around by my sisters, and now I'm bossed around by my staff. That most of them are women. They tell me what to do, when to do it, and when to get up. Okay, the first one, this is my appointee. This is Christina Boomer. She is not here. She couldn't be here. And she's also a member of the press. Like we have Jackie Nesprout here, a person that I had admired for so many years when she started being such a little girl. And I have to thank her for not leaving Miami and staying with us, although she received numerous offers from national networks, and she didn't want to leave and she stayed here. Thank you for being here with us. And she has a beautiful daughter with her that I met when she was very young, and she was a great kickball player. And I'm going to call her. This is Jackie Nesprout. This is, yes, come here. This is another member of the press that have made us proud. Here you have Jackie. You deserve this and more. Thank you very much. And I watch you every time that I... Yes, I do.
Tonight at 5 and 6.
That's right. Thank you, Jackie. Now we have this. Yes, it's a picture.
It really is an honor for this proclamation and for the Julia Tuttle Award. As a proud Miamian, as I said upstairs, I was born and raised here, and it's my pleasure to be able to represent this city to the best of my ability, not only locally, but nationally. So thank you so much.
Oh, you have represented it real well. Thank you. Now, the next recipient is Genevieve Cardill Harris. Genevieve? This lady is an author, a philanthropist, community developer, assistant pastor at the Living Word Family Enrichment Center. I mean, I don't know how you can do so many things at the same time. Only a woman can do that. We wouldn't be able to do it at the same time. You see, and Congratulations. And your flowers, and you want me to? Yes. Well, let's get the picture on it, whatever you want to say. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just so very grateful to have this honor today and to be a woman of color. I am grateful for my father and my pastor, Raymond Carvel Sr., who served the city of Miami for such a long time and paved the way for me to know what leadership was. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much. And my husband right there. Thank you, honey. I love you too.
Thank you so much for what you do for the communities. You do so much for the community. And now we have, it's a salute, right? A salutation? We have one more that is coming. Let's do this. This is the Mr. Earl Johnson. Mr. Johnson has been with the city for 13 years. And his work ethic and his professionalism has gained the respect of everybody. And I'm proud to salute you in the name of the city for the work that you have done. Thank you very much. And I expect to see you around for a long, long time. Okay, don't leave us, yeah? Okay. 21 years. You see, I thought it was 13. Well, I want you to make it to 30. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Earl Johnson is a representative of the Solid Waste Department, and he is receiving this honor because one of our neighbors recognized him and reached out to me to tell me what a wonderful job he does and how she depends on your service, that your dedication, how you are so attentive to your duties, how you don't leave a mess, you say hello, and it's a joy to know that you are on that route. And when she sent me that email, Miss Lorena Ramos, I said, I have to recognize you because I want us to recognize people who help us make this city what it is today. And without you, this city doesn't shine. So thank you for your service and continue to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, everybody. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Let's go to the seal. Right here. You are the man of the hour. Thank you, man. Can I ask for you to be transferred to Manchester?
So we also want to give an award and a proclamation to Jane Gilbert. You all know her for over 20 years. Gilbert has created and led public-private partnerships, concentrating on strengthening the community within Miami. As a consultant, she managed the Miami's Foundation's civic leadership agenda on sea level rise, which included coordinating the unified application to 100 resilient cities and a study on how the best communications policy and action priorities related to sea level rise to greater Miami's diverse audiences. Congratulations. And we're gonna get hers framed, but since I just got into office, we didn't have the time as yet.
The City of Miami will now salute Mr. Thomas Barr, Sr. You want to do it? Sure.
Good morning, everyone. This is Hector Badia from the City Office of Capital Improvements. Thomas Barr began his career at the City of Miami as a fiscal assistant at GSA on November 26, 2007. He held the position of Administrative Assistant 1 in the Department of Resiliency and Public Works from August 20th, 2013 until he accepted a position in our department as Contract Compliance Analyst in the Office of Capital Improvements on December 8, 2017. He held the position until his retirement date of February 27, 2023. His core responsibilities entail monitoring local workforce program requirements, responsible wages and benefits requirements, and small business enterprise measures to the tune of $3 million. As a member of the core team, Thomas always was willing to go the extra mile to work with contractors and educate them and familiarize them with contract requirements of the city. His temperament, professionalism, and attitude allowed for the ease of communications with vendors, effective problem solving, and constant improvements regarding the development of creative compliance monitoring manner. In addition, Thomas played a role in ensuring compliance with the FDOT local agency program. He's the point of contact for the city's Miami project delivery staff related to intensive trainings and FDOT gap compliance reporting. He constantly engaged with project managers, DOT staff members, and consultants to ensure the city remained compliant with the lab requirements. Thomas Barr was an essential member of our team who contributed to the city mission in a meaningful, productive way. His dedication in his role did not go unnoticed. Thomas will be missed by all as he is a well-liked professional. We wish you well in your personal and professional journey as you navigate through the next chapter of your life.
Also giving this to you as well.
I would like to thank the City Commissioner King and all the other commissioners. I would like to thank my director, Hector Badia, also my supervisor, former supervisor Marlo Darrington, and I would like to thank my family. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to recognize Janie Tate. Come on up. Ms. Tate began her career in news in 2011. She was still in middle school as an intern for the Miami Herald and CBS 4 News Miami. She fell in love with journalism and made the media industry while interning at these places and decided that this was what she wanted to do for the rest of her life. Her upbringing in Miami Gardens helped shape the journalistic and woman she is today. And I wanted to recognize her during this Women's History Month as a woman that is doing amazing things for our community, educating our community, informing our community on issues that are relevant and necessary, and she doesn't pull any punches. She is her own woman, and she represents her profession with integrity and ethics. And I wanted her to know that we appreciate her and that we look forward to her hard-hitting news coverage, for her winning a Pulitzer Prize someday, because she will. So thank you, Ms. Tate. Thank you for all that you do for this community. Thank you for educating your viewers. Say some. All journalists want to say something.
I would like to say thank you so much to Commissioner King for just being a great example as a Black woman, taking up space, for inspiring me to do what I do, and just being honest with me as I'm being honest with you. And I would like to thank the City of Miami for this recognition, and the staff and the commission. This means so much. As an independent journalist, I don't get a lot of recognition, so for me, this means so much. So thank you.
And let me tell you, she asks tough questions and she's not easy on me, so don't think that I'm giving this to her because she's a nice journalist. No, she is a journalist. She is a journalist. No friend to anyone. Her friendship is to truth and getting information out. So this young lady, she is going to do wonder. She's just going to soar. She is going to soar. So I appreciate you, even when you're.
What does it say here? Okay. The next presentation will be for Maestro Marlene Urbay, head of the music department. Maestro Marlene Urbay was born in Havana, Cuba. She is the founder and music director of the Florida Chamber Orchestra in 1995 and former music director of the National Ballet of Cuba from 1982 to 91. Urbay graduated from the Alejandro Garcia Cardula Conservatory in Havana. She graduated from the National School of the Arts in 1980, where she specialized in piano and choral conducting, and from the Instituto Superior de Arte in Havana in 1985, with exceptional high honors in orchestra and orchestral conducting. After immigrating to the United States in 1991, Maestro Urbay was assistant conductor of the University of Miami Symphony Orchestra. She studied at the Manhattan School of Music and earned a master's degree in orchestral conducting from the University of Miami School of Music in 1996. Marlene? Congratulations to you. You have been an example. We're very proud of you. And if I may say that I didn't read before, she also helps with the Belen High School Symphony. So she's quite busy with the Chamber Symphony that she runs, the Belen Symphony. We had the pleasure to have had her recently in Maurice Ferré Park. We had that day over 5,000 people there, and it was beautiful. Everyone enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Gracias. ¿Quieres decir algo?
No, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to take a moment to recognize really our the women in the city. Now, we recognized a number of women who've done exceptional work upstairs, but oftentimes the women that sit up here don't get recognized as often as they should. So I'd like to present our 2 female commissioners with some flowers in honor of Women's History Month. And I'd also like to recognize our city attorney. Victoria, come up. Come here. And in addition to that, by the way, I want to also recognize all the women in leadership in the city. So if you guys could all come up. Come on. Come up here. As I mentioned upstairs during the breakfast, this city would not run, could not run without the strong women in leadership in the city, and they deserve also to be recognized today and this morning as we celebrate Women's History Month. So big round of applause for all the talented women in the city. Come on, you can do better than that. Let's go. Big round of applause. Woo! Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, we are going to have Reverend Roberta Knowles of the Church of the Incarnation come and honor us with our prayer. Good morning. Thank you.
Please stand if you are able to. And in my church, when we pray, I usually say, the Lord be with you, and you answer back, and also with you. So please join me when I say that. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Gracious and eternal Father, as we come before your presence this morning, as we come with commissioners and those who make decisions on behalf of your people, we ask you to grant them wisdom, knowledge, understanding, to help them in the work that has been set before them. Help them to be aware of the fact that they were elected to serve your people to the best of their ability, to do what is justice, to do what is right, to do what is the best thing for the people that they are serving. We give you honor and praise and thanks for those who have been honored here today, especially women everywhere, as we continue to celebrate this month as Women's Month. Thank you for Commissioner King. Thank you for all who are here. We ask you to give them discernment, Jesus, as they do their work. And we just pray all these prayers in the name of the one who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. Amen. Thank you so much. And at this time, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
And this time I have no excuses. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner.
C1 and 2, that's the item that Elvis is here for.
Mr. Manager, Miss City Attorney, would you please read your statement into the record for us?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Detailed information about the process, order of business, rules of procedure, scheduling, rescheduling of City Commission meetings can be found in Chapter 2, Article 2 of the City Code, a copy of which is available online at www.municode.com. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of code sections about lobbyists is available at the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of this code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to City Code Section 2-8. Any documents offered to the City Commission that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. In accordance with Section 2-33 F and G of the City Code, the agenda and material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the Chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the Chair. Public comment will begin at approximately 9:45 and remain open until public comment is closed by the Chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via the online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the public comment form. The comments submitted through the form have been and will be distributed to elected officials, their staff, and the city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials may consider the items prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute up until Chair closes the public comment. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall, located at 3500 Pan American Drive, subject to all rules as may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state their name, their address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. The City has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting in compliance with Section 286.0114 4C Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have been generally briefed by city staff and the city attorney's office on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing a verbatim record of the item considered at this meeting may request it at the Office of Communications or view it online at www.miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance as temporarily modified pursuant to emergency ordinance numbers 13903 and 13914. Parties for any PZ items, including the applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making body as a qualified intervener, as well as applicants, representatives, and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the city clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person at their location by an individual qualified to perform such duty. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, members of the general public who are not parties to an action pending before the City Commission are not required to be sworn in by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications pursuant to Florida Statute 286.0115, and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. The order presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 and in the city code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. The applicant will present its application or request to the city commission. If the applicant agrees with the staff recommendation, the city commission may proceed to its deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the city commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices now. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV, the city's Facebook page, the city's Twitter page, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Mr. City Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk, immediately after I finish these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony or planning zoning items and or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to emergency ordinance number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn at their location by an individual qualified to administer the oath. After you're sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual who provides testimony must be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the City Clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning item and or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant item for which you'll be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules and procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes.
Chair, may I administer the oath for the planning and zoning items?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, that's any of today's planning and zoning items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are going to provide at today's hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And at this time, I would ask my colleagues if we can approve the minutes for the special meeting on January 7th, the City Commission meeting on January 12th, and the City Commission meeting on January 26th. May I have a motion? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. Mr. Manager, do you have any items that you wish to defer or withdraw from the agenda today?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and or withdraw the following items. CA2 to be deferred to April 13th. PH4 to be withdrawn. RE2 to be deferred to April 27th. FR2 to be deferred to April 27th. FR2. DI1 to be indefinitely deferred. PZ5 to the 27th to be deferred to April 27th. PZ6 to be indefinitely deferred. PZ7 to be indefinitely deferred. And that concludes the items.
Mr. Manager, I understand that the applicant has requested to defer PZ 1 and 2 until April 13th. PZ 1 and 2.
Chair, I just need to read a brief statement into the record regarding the indefinite deferrals.
Please.
Pursuant to Section 62-22 of the City Code, and indefinitely deferred action initiated by the city will cost the city mail noticing, advertising, and posting of properties as applicable. And also, Chair, just for the record, Commissioner Reyes would like to co-sponsor FR1.
What do you say about FR1?
That you would like to co-sponsor FR1.
Oh, yes, okay.
Mr. Vice Chair, do you have any items that you would like to defer or withdraw?
Yes, I'd like to temporarily defer to the next meeting,
PZ4 to withdraw, to defer until the next commission meeting, which is April 13th.
Correct.
I believe it would have to be deferred till later because of advertising. Is this a second reading?
Okay,
And we may have missed, so the second meeting.
that's fine.
That would be April 27th.
Yes.
So PZ4 will be deferred until April 27th. Is that it?
Yes.
Commissioner Kovo, would you like to defer or withdraw any items?
No.
Commissioner Reyes?
No, I don't have anything.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda has been set.
Okay.
And at this time, I will open the floor for public comments. Anyone wishing to speak on anything concerning today's agenda, please step forward. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Lottie Perkis, and I'm here to voice my support for Resolution RE5. Did you say you needed my address as well?
Mr. City Clerk,
Yes, ma'am.
she's asking your question.
3000 Natoma Street is my address. As a former, so I'm RE5, which is making Matilda Street permanently one-way. As a former parent of Coconut Grove Elementary, I can attest that the current situation creates confusion and is dangerous. So making Matilda Street one-way permanently improves the safety and makes sense to everyone who uses the street. Secondly, together with many community partners, I organized the Bike and Walk to School Days in Coconut Grove, and I've done this for the previous 4 years. I work with all 9 schools to make the biannual event a success. And as a result, I receive plenty of feedback regarding the safety of our streets and the suitability for biking and walking to school. I can assure you that I speak for all the families who use Matilda Street to access Coconut Grove Elementary directly, and those who cycle and walk along it to access the other schools in the neighborhood. As it's spring break, many families are away, so I've been asked to request that large and clear signage is added to Oak Avenue that says no left turn as one approaches Matilda Street from the east, and no right turn as one approaches Matilda Street from the west. Young children walk on their own along the sidewalks of Oak Avenue, and this additional signage would further improve the safety. Please can we ensure the signage is included? Lastly, I support the resolution as chair of the Grove Connect Mobility Action Plan, which is a community-led and stakeholder-driven plan originated from a workshop with over 75 participants in November 2019. Grove Connect strives to improve connectivity for walkers and cyclists in Coconut Grove, making it an exemplary neighborhood for the state and country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
What item is that again you were speaking in?
RE5.
RE5, making
RE5.
Matilda Street one-way. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Hank Sanchez Resnick. I'm president of Bike Coconut Grove. I live at 3259 Gifford Lane in Miami. My bike is my car. I'm going to be 83 in another week, and I have been a bicyclist since I started bicycling in New York many, many decades ago, and I came to Miami in 2005, and I decided that there was no way I was going to give up bicycling. That I was going to do was work to make Miami much more bicycle and pedestrian friendly. I'm sure you know that to bike and walk in Miami is very dangerous. I'm lucky that I'm alive. I'm very careful to avoid the most dangerous risks. And when I moved to Coconut Grove, I started an organization, Bike Coconut Grove, to make Coconut Grove a model community for bicycling and walking, and we're making some progress. I'm in support of RE5, which is going to make Matilda Street one way between Grand and Oak Avenue, and this is really very important. Matilda is, first of all, there's a wonderful public school on Matilda, Coconut Grove Elementary, and a lot of the parents bike and walk to school, and when we have our bike and walk to school days, we get really great turnout. We have some data showing that traffic is actually reduced to that school, automobile traffic on bike and walk to school day. We have hard data showing that. We've done counts of cars going by, and far fewer cars go by on that street. But it's a crazy street. Most of it is one way, but about 200 feet of it is two-way. So it's absolutely insane in the afternoon. The Miami Police Department sets up cones to make it not be two-way in the afternoon. This resolution, RE5, will make it one-way permanently. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
We gotta start.
Good morning. Good to see you.
I took some photos, if I could pass them around. Is that okay? No? Yes? I just wanted you to see the conditions that, what's happening in Rainbow Village. I'm all for the new development, but the conditions we're in right now is very bad, very bad. Things are falling apart. I have pictures, like I said, I took pictures of the conditions around there. Like, it's terrible, and something needs to be done. I didn't have anybody to come with me far as who lives in the residence, because they're so tired of being told different things about what's going to happen, what they're going to do, and nothing is ever being done. So they shut me down. I was going to bring some of the neighbors. They said, no, we don't want to go. They don't ever do anything, which is true. But I just believe at some point somebody will be that ear that'll try to help us, because the conditions are really bad things. I mean, from mold. It's bad, like we're just left out high and dry. Like nobody really cares. And that's why nobody's coming, because we're hearing the same thing. We're hearing the same thing. Even at the meetings, it's the same thing. Okay? So I don't want to get all upset about it, but I'm trying to keep it cute. But it's very bad, Ms. King. It's very bad. And when people are coming saying they're going to help, they say that for whatever reasons that they say it. I know there are government things going on as far as finances, but none of that is taking place where we live. So whoever is in charge of those finances, they're giving us the crumbs. They're getting theirs off the top, so I don't...
What I want you to do is go to my office and speak to my chief of staff. Let her see those pictures.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are going to be in touch with you and your neighbors about that.
Yeah.
I know there's an item today on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
For Rainbow Village.
Yes, ma'am.
Things are going to get better.
I pray they do, but I just had to let you guys know that things that are being said to be done have not been done. And it hasn't been done for years. They keep telling us one thing and it's another. The tenants are tired of even trying to listen to these different meetings that we're having, because there's nothing being done. So they just think it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. They're not going to do anything.
Okay, so go see my chief of staff. Her name is Yvette Harrell. Go see her so she can get your information and we can start working on it.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you for
if I
coming.
just have your name and address for the record.
My name is Tanya Walker. My address is 2116 Northwest 3rd Avenue, Miami, Florida, 33127.
Thank you for coming. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Chaim Lipsker. I'm the rabbi at the Rock Family Shul. It's right in the heart of Brickell, 35 Southeast 9th Street. I live at 50 Southwest 17th Road in the Roads. We also, aside for our synagogue that's in Brickell, we have the Broomer Preschool of the Arts, and so we have a preschool. It's on 9th Street. I'm here to speak about RE6, in which I am recommending the one-way change from a two-way street. What happens on that street is because Southwest 9th Street, South Miami Avenue is a one-way, and Southwest 9th Street is a one-way. The traffic flow, the item says Southwest 9th Street, but it's actually Southeast 9th Street on RE6 because Southwest 9th Street is already a one-way. And so it should say urge traffic flow on Southeast 9th Street. But one of the challenges that we have is a similar challenge that is in all of the Brickell areas by schools, like you have on 13th Street as well, during pickup and drop-off. And so in the morning, when our children get dropped off, our children are mostly aged between the age of 1 year old, 12 months to 4 years old. And so even though it's very much pedestrian, we have a lot of parents that come with strollers. Many of them also have to come with cars to drop off their children before they go to work and to pick up. And what happens is on 9th Street is we have a backup of the parents trying to park in order to pick up their kids during this period of time. We have somewhat a deal with the City of Miami Police. They allow us for that half hour to block the streets, but then you have the street going the other way. And so the street itself is a pretty wide street. It actually can handle some parents being parked on the side, as well as a street going both ways. The challenge is, of course, during that time, it becomes chaotic and dangerous for the kids. And
Thank
so,
you.
I just want to add, I am for the Southeast 9th Street one way, but we also have a swale right in front of our synagogue, and that can be converted to a drop-off pickup area. It will help traffic flow and much better. And right now, it's just being used as a concrete swale, while there's no swale on the south side of 9th Street by Mary Brickell Village. That's a loading dock, a loading zone. By our side, if we made that into a drop-off pickup for our preschool, it will be a tremendous help for traffic flow on Southeast 9th Street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Freddie White. My address is 2021 Northwest 3rd, 33127. My neighbor was just here explaining the problems that we was having out at Rainbow. I'm not going to take up too much of the time, but I'm just here to say that everything that she just expressed previously is exactly the same. Like I said, I'm not going to take up too much of the time, but I do support the project Z3, and let's get it going. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Black. How are you today?
Good morning. My name is Elaine Black, President of the Liberty City Community Revitalization Trust, and I'm here today to speak on BC1 to support the appointment of board members for the Liberty City Trust. These members are representative of our community and supportive of the redevelopment of our community, and we would like to see them appointed if possible. So thank you so very much for your support.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Capers. How are you?
Good morning, beautiful Chairwoman Christine King. I just love each and one of you all. My name is Lola Capers, and I'm with CACS and partners with HTG and FIU Moss School of Construction. Moss School of Construction, where FIU partnered with HTG, and they started a construction training program with the individuals that lives in the Rainbow community. We have 15 individuals that will be completing the training this week, and they're waiting for the approval of PZ3 in order for them to start working on the rehab. These individuals live in Rainbow. They did not receive any stipends. I started off with 15, I end up with 13 that will graduate with the NCCCR, OSHA 30, fault lift, etc. And Mayoress, all of the units are going to be affordable. So I'm asking the commissioners to please pass PZ3. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Professor Lattimore.
Good morning, Chairwoman Christine King, the Commissioner, and the Commissioners, especially Ms. Kovo, welcome. My name is Samuel Lattimore. I live at 937 Northwest 55 Street, Miami. My family had had that residence since 1959, and with the passing of my parents, I have moved in and been there for a while. I would just like to support the recommendation that has been made for me to participate, some of us to participate on the board of the Liberty City Trust. I have been working with that board for the last 7 years, and I have found that board to be committed to the issues that we have in mind: a cleaner community, a safer community, and a community that cares about its seniors. I would support your recommendation for the names that have been nominated, and I appreciate Ms. King for looking into the issue of those people who can make a difference. Liberty City is an old community. My parents have been there, bought that house for $11,000. $11,000. I've been asked for $275,000 for the house now. So that lets you know where we are. My issue is that I seek your support for this. I was a member of the Code Enforcement Board for 2 years, 2.5 years, and so I have some knowledge about what the issues are. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
How you doing? Just fine.
Good.
I just came to support BC1, the Liberty City Trust, which is doing a lot for the neighborhood. They're also doing a lot for the youth in the neighborhood. And to give Commissioner King a thank you for all the support that she gives out to Ms. Black on that behalf, and all the other commissioners that's here. Thank you.
Chair, if I just have the speaker's name for the record.
Kerry Johnson, 29 Northwest 52nd Street.
Good morning.
Good morning. David Sachs, law offices at 2 South Biscayne Boulevard, here representing Fresh Cut Flowers and Petal Productions, located at 1515 Northwest 22nd Street. This is on item PH5. I had spoken on March 9th in connection with this item, and my client fully supports this item. However, there is an ask with respect, if the commission is so willing to take this under consideration and perhaps advise staff as necessary. The ask is quite simply to leave up fences that have remained for 41 years on the property that, yes, do in fact block a city right-of-way, but this right-of-way is of 2 non-functional streets. They just simply don't service streets where cars or trucks or anything motorized runs up and down. So the ask was to do something, for example, upon the passage of this ordinance today, we could immediately file for a replat and right-of-way vacation and go through that process, which we attempted to do in 2018, but unfortunately it wasn't until item PH5, which we so fully support, it wasn't until PH5 and this current legislation came before you that we weren't even able to make this ask, which again would reduce crime in the area. Because if we take down these fences, this is a highly industrialized area, if we take down these fences, crime is going to increase. There's already crime there. Garbage dumping is going to increase. It's already been happening. And this is an area where citizens have been paying tax dollars for a long time. If it's not the will of the commission to take this under advisement with respect to entertaining this ask, with respect to directing staff or otherwise, so be it. My client will be willing to take down the fence that's improperly blocking the right-of-way.
Thank you.
But we'd ask for the consideration of safety in connection with this ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning. Louis Marsberry Garza, homeless at Peacock Park. I am looking specifically at page 16 with RE2, and it ties in with page 22 with FR2. You're wanting to do additional safety measures and other permanent motorized scooter
Ma'am,
program. Yes.
Both of those items have been deferred.
They've been deferred?
They've been deferred.
That's what I was trying to figure out because I was looking at. Okay, continuing on to the next one. Let's see. On this full easement that, hold hold on, let me go back. Under, has items CA4 and CA5 on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, then this, I like the CA4 that you can have perhaps when you're giving away property to people, whether it be through easement. On CA5 in particular, you're giving away 1,000 square feet, which I think is a perfect place to put a tiny home, and you're giving it away to a Delaware, New York-owned owner. Are we getting any recompense for that? Since this particular corporation was formed a little over a year ago. So I'm wondering why it's so easy to give property over. The other one on CA6, please define what subterranean easement means. Does that mean everybody in the state of Florida has access to subterranean easements? That is on the fourth line up there. Continuing, PH1 and PH2, since you're conveying property and renting them for $1 a year, would you ever consider a pilot program to which you can rent to proactive homeless people locations for $1 a year so that they can help the homeless here in the city of Coconut Grove? Since I have very little time left, just to let you know real quick, I'm repeating again to all of you. Friend or foe, Trump or Joe, decide ye this day who you will serve, because between the traitors, trannies, and tyrants all over the place, you all have a very profound decision to make regarding your next council meeting, shall we say. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to move into the agenda. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda items? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Chair, just for the record, that excludes CA2.
That excludes CA2, which was deferred until the April 13th commission meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Just for the record, the public hearing has been closed.
Public hearing has been closed. With respect to the public hearing items, do I have a motion and a second?
Move with the exception of PH4 that was deferred.
Withdrawn, correct.
Withdrawn.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the PH items?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Resolutions. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I please need to amend RE6 is Southeast 9th.
Okay. Madam City Attorney? Is that a Scribner's error? It says Southwest 9th and
It's Southeast.
it's Southeast.
Yes.
Yes, yes, it is.
If we do it now, it would just be as amended. We wouldn't have to issue a...
Okay, so
a
as
Scribner's.
amended. All right, so I have a motion and a second.
Chair, I believe RE3 has to be voted on separately.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's right.
RE3 is separate. So do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second, and RE6 as amended. All in favor?
Let me ask something. Is this the one that turns, for clarification purposes, is this the one that turns 9th Street into a one-way street?
Yes.
Okay. Is that in front of the synagogue?
Yes.
Okay. If I may,
Go ahead.
have you consulted with the synagogue as to?
Yes, and they came to
I heard
public
some of the
hearing.
public comment earlier.
And I heard
I know
from
you
other-
testified, but
And I heard from other people as well at the synagogue because it's a daycare. So it's
Right,
a
also.
safety issue for the children.
okay, so the one-way makes it safer, obviously?
Of course, and also it helps the community to not sit in traffic for a long time when the parents are picking up the children. So it actually frees traffic flow in Brickell.
Okay, does it impact, is there a conflict between the synagogue and the children being dropped off and being picked up? Scheduling in terms of timing? Maybe he can answer. I mean, I was just looking at it last night and I had this clarification. Is there a conflict between synagogue services and the pickup and drop off of children? Does it impact, is there overlap in other words?
Not too much of a conflict.
Any activity, what's not too much of a conflict?
No, I'm saying the one way would be good for the synagogue. I represent the synagogue.
But I'm
and,
talking-
and the preschool and the daycare. It's all part of our.
Yeah, the synagogue runs the daycare, right?
Yeah, the synagogue runs the daycare.
But there is, in terms of traffic congestion on 9th Street now, or potential traffic congestion on 9th Street, do you have programs and services that you provide to the children? Is there overlap in some of those programs and the synagogue services that you provide?
Is there overlap during the time of service?
In terms of hours?
Generally not.
So is your service at the same time as drop-off and pick-up? I think
course,
that's
that's
what
the
the
question,
commissioner is
Yes,
asking.
generally not.
Definitely not.
Generally not.
Generally, okay.
Generally not.
You should be a lawyer.
Our largest,
Are you?
our main services are Friday night and Saturday morning when there's no school. Our morning services are 7:45, and our drop-off is about 8:30. So, and our pickup's at 4:30. It's no issue. So, almost, it's generally not the issue. The problem is the drop-off of the preschool.
And Commissioner, I also think that it's not only for the synagogue specifically. I think that in Brickell, in that corner, because also Southwest 9th, it's a one-way, there are traffic patterns that I've noticed from my district that just don't make sense.
Okay.
I'm not a traffic expert, so that's why we also have to urge the county.
We're also going to shortly have 830 Brickell open up, which is going to be one of the largest office towers, and most of that
Well,
traffic
I was going there.
is going to flow through 9th Street.
You read my mind. You reminded me.
Right.
I was gonna ask that. Have you consulted with future project builders or existing businesses as to how it impacts them?
No,
No?
I have not. With businesses, no. Just with the synagogue, the parents, and some folks at the building that is on the other side, just asking questions.
And for the new office building, this will be helpful for the new office
It
building?
will be much more helpful for
I
the
think for
office
all
building
the
flow.
block, technically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
What happens is
interrupting
trucks
the vote.
just block the whole street because they're going the other way.
Right.
And there's
Thank
no
you.
I'm very familiar with the area. I just wanted to make sure that they're able to turn and come down 9th Street, right? Okay. And where's the office building? I'm sorry, where's the office building, do you know?
It's 830 Brickell, right? But I have no idea
830
which
Brickell.
one is that.
It's on that side, okay.
It's on the other side.
It's on the other side, right? Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Commissioner.
for the record, can I state the mover and the second for the clerk's office?
Yes.
It was moved by Commissioner Reyes, seconded by Vice Chair Carollo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will address RE3 now. Good morning.
Good morning. Marcy Resnick on behalf of the owner 7301 Belmead LLC.
Good morning, members of the commission. Rachel Dooley on behalf of the City Attorney's Office. This item was moved several times due to scheduling issues. They're here for a mitigation as allowed for by 2-817 of the City Code. In this particular case, 7301 Belmead Island Drive, as I've stated before before you, is a repeat violation property. Back in October 14th of 2020, they were previously cited for improper short-term rentals at this private home. And through a settlement agreement that was approved by the Code Enforcement Board, there was a finding of guilt and no fine. They were then again cited under the current case that is before you in February of 2021, so a few months later. Their hearing was in March 10th of 2021. They were given immediate compliance, retroactive to the date they were originally cited, which is allowed pursuant to the code.
Rachel, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
The first violation they got cited for was in what year?
Is in 2020, so it occurred during the beginning parts of COVID in 2020.
And what was that for they got cited?
It was for, that one had different violations. The one was, there was some work without a permit that they did take care of in the kitchen, and some issues with an outside cheeky hut, and also the short-term rental violation.
That's what caught my attention. What's the short-term rental violation?
So in a T3 zone, you cannot rent something that's not predominantly permanent housing. So they cannot be used as lodging. Basically, I rent it to somebody for the weekend, they come in, even 30 days.
State statute has a short-term rental as anything less than 30 days.
I see.
Our code actually doesn't allow any lodging in a T3 zone, which has been discussed in the Third District Court of Appeal in a different lawsuit. And the Third District Court of Appeal determined that in our T3 transect zone, which this is, that you must have predominantly permanent housing, which doesn't allow for any sort of lodging on a house wherein the owner is not present.
For any amount of time.
Correct.
Interesting.
Rachel, through the chair.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, I have to, I'm going to ask a question. I've been hearing about this problem for a long time. And what really caught my eye is that there was that short-term leasing was not to a family that will go there and stay for a while. It was wild parties. Wild parties.
In this particular case, it was all kinds of things were going on.
That's right. And I heard that there were even drag racing in the neighborhood.
That was some of the complaints, yes.
The complaints of
Yes.
that. And the owner was notified once, twice, 3 times, and he never paid any attention to it. Is that right?
There was not owner compliance for quite some time. Obviously, there were periods of nothing that led to the settlement in the first case, and then the activity started
Those
back
are the
up
questions
again.
that I have in my head
Yes, sir.
before I make a decision, mitigating or not. If
Yes,
it
sir.
deserves it, because it's a repeat violator without no regards for the neighborhood, for the authorities, or for anybody.
Yes, sir. In the instant case for this particular violation, the facts as were presented to the board for this particular issue that led it to be a repeat violator was in fact the rentals going on. Large buses would show up dropping people off for the weekend. In some cases, it was just rented for the weekend with videos being shot. Obviously, you can't use a T3 transect zone property as for commercial purposes. So it would be rented for music videos or things like that. People were walking up and down the street, being dropped off, that kind of activity.
Did the neighbors complain about that?
Yes,
Every
constantly.
time. Constantly, right?
Yes.
So that means that they were destroying the quality of life of that neighborhood.
Yes.
Thank you, Rachel. For my colleagues, this is my district. It's Belmead Island. I have been clear from when this issue came before me that I expect to receive the full amount that is due the city for this 7301 Belmead Island Drive violations. And that is my request. That
The full amount of the lien as it ran for this particular one, it was complied. It's September of 2022.
Actually, Rachel, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It was complied as of June 1, 2022.
Well, that's our debate, and I was about to get into that, which is the official compliance date was September 2nd of 2022, which made the lien run to $270,500. We were contacted in June of 2022, stating that all rentals had ceased, but obviously because of past practices, the city was not going to go in and close out and comply a case. It was left open for purposes of the summer, and in fact through I guess it would be the Labor Day holiday, and there were no violations at that time. So if you went from, say, June 1st, 60 days prior to the compliance date, there was no activity. It was kept open for that period of time. That amounts to $30,000, just for reference to you, if that's something that you wish to consider.
Right. Chair, can I ask some more questions? Rachel, when you stated repeated offender, was it just in this property, or do they own or owned other properties that they also had violations on?
They had an adjacent property that had not this number of violations, just one that for the same issue, and that was complied.
And that property,
What same issue?
Excuse me?
What was the same issue?
Illegal rentals.
Illegal rentals. Okay, so they certainly are a repeated violator in what they were doing. Now, these, both of these properties, the one that we have before us today and the other one that I understand they sold,
Correct.
were they owned under their names or corporations?
So one was in a trust,
May I?
and the other one in name, but I think council could
So
address that.
the property that we're here about today is owned by an LLC. However, it is owner occupied. My client, the individual who owns the LLC, it's a single-family home. It is owner occupied.
Okay, when you say owner occupied, obviously, he wasn't occupying the home during the period that was just described here. Is it owner occupied now? Is that what you mean?
It has been owner occupied for close to a year, yes.
Okay,
Rachel, I'm sorry. I understood that the property was being sold?
It is listed for sale.
It's listed now for sale.
It's listed now for sale.
Well, it's listed for rent for $48,000 a month right now online. But I believe their goal is to sell it, but that's.
The goal is to sell it. It is listed for sale.
So again, let me reiterate that I am asking for the full amount that is owed the city. That is my
I'm sure about a question. Does this resolution have the full amount?
Yes.
Well, the resolution itself would, based upon your determination, would be the amount that would be put in.
$300,000.
The resolution does state that currently the lien, the date it was complied by the city, which was September 2nd of 2022, is $270,500. Plus, there is a $5,000 irreparable harm violation that is also pending and has not been paid, so I don't want that to get lost.
Right.
The $5,000 was obviously because of the repeat nature of it and the continued actions.
Chair?
Yes.
If I may go back, I have heard enough to be very clear that this is a repeat violator, and a repeat violator that didn't care for the quality of life of his neighbors. And in fact, I believe I even heard something to the effect that would also include the health and safety of his neighbors. And we haven't had too many of these cases that have been appealed. And when I say these cases, any case that have been appealed to this commission, since I had asked the body that approved the ordinance so we could stop a lot of the shenanigans that was going on. But the only, and what I'm trying to say is that while we have been lenient with some of the cases, the few that have come before us, in keeping to that 10%, difference here is, and we should keep that in mind for the future, these are repeat violators, and repeat violators that didn't care for the quality of life of their neighbors, their health and safety in what they were doing. It's a big difference. And this is why this ordinance that we approve was approved, so that when we are faced with incidents like this, that's not a real homestead property that a mom and dad has owned, they're elderly now, et cetera, we can deal with it appropriately and differently than a normal homestead-owned property. The only area here that I'd like to get some legal advice from our city attorney is the difference that I'm hearing between June and September, if they did comply or not, because I'm hearing that we might have held off to see if they were truly in compliance or not. And that's the only area that I'd like to get some advice on, because I don't want to give them any kind of nail that they could hang their hats on and go into court on. I'd rather, if the city attorney feels that they might have some legs to stand on that issue, if they appeal to a court of law, that we waive that part just to be safe fully safe on the rest of it, but only if we are advised to that. If the city attorney feels that we're right in putting the full amount, I will go along with that.
So what I would like is for council to state everything
Yes.
that she wants on the record first, and then we can make that determination.
That's
if
obviously,
that's-
she has that right, and after we hear, we have the right to feel the same way or certainly change our minds if we hear anything that's different that can make a difference in their opinion.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. First, I'd like to point out, Commissioners, that there was no violations relating to health or safety. This was strictly dealing with short-term rentals. As Ms. Dooley indicated, there were some issues regarding a kitchen and a tiki hut. Those were complied with long ago.
Yeah, but the area that made me say that, so it's on the record, is when I heard that some of the people they were renting to, apparently short-term, were drag racing through the area.
I'm not aware of any of the allegations regarding drag racing. In all honesty, today is the first time I've heard it, and I've spoken with Ms. Dooley numerous times. I am aware of the issues regarding the allegations of a bus dropping off people and things like that. And there were times where it was families that were there for a weekend. But as I said, there were no life safety issues, health violations. This was not structural in nature. And with regard to the difference between the June 1 and the September 1 dates, we have been able to show council that they were off the short-term rental sites as of June 1. And I think Ms. Dooley will agree with me that since that time, there has been no short-term rentals. There's been no complaints from the neighbors. In fact, there have been some gatherings of the neighbors where my client has been there and has been welcomed with open arms and has been a good neighbor and has been doing the right thing. And as a result of that, we're not here today to contest the $5,000 irreparable harm. We understand that that my client needs to pay that, but we believe that the appropriate time period is February 28th, 2021 through June 1, 2022. And of that amount, of that fine, which we believe is $229,000, if Ms. Dooley can confirm that my math is correct, and at this point, I'm authorized to offer the $5,000 to resolve this, plus 5% of that fine.
Okay, I'm very in touch with my community. Do you have any letters of support to evidence your statement that you've had meetings with the neighbors and that they're now in support? Because the last I heard from my neighbors, they want to move forward because your client, they were bad actors, and they were bad actors for a long time. And I want to send a clear message to everyone who considers the city of Miami that they will not be held accountable for their actions, because this was an egregious act on your client's behalf. So unless you have letters from the neighbors supporting that statement you made, because that is not what my neighbors have said to me.
I want to clarify the record. I didn't say I met with them, okay? They had a gathering, there was a party on the street amongst the neighbors, and my client participated in that. It wasn't a free-for-all, it was like a block party.
Okay, so.
That's all. I just want the record to be clear.
Because I thought you were saying that the neighbors are now in support of your client, and that is not what I understand.
Let me be very clear. There was a gathering of the neighbors. I believe, and please don't quote me, but I believe it was in the neighborhood of like a block, in the nature of a block party. And my client was asked to bring chairs and refreshments, and everybody was there. And
any music or no music?
I'm sorry?
Any music at the party?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I wasn't invited.
So when you're testifying, and may I ask a question? I'm sorry. If you were testifying that there was a meeting that included your client?
It's, not, again, not a meeting. It was a gathering, an informal gathering of the neighbors.
So were you just repeating what you were told by your client?
Yes, yes.
Okay, you haven't talked, I just want to make sure we're okay legally. So there's no conversation with your client and the neighbors, there's nothing given to you in writing or any testimony that says that they're okay with what's happening there?
No, Commissioner, no. But
Okay,
I believe
that's-
Ms. Dooley Ms. Dooley, I know, has been in regular
That's all I
contact
need
with
to
some
know.
of the neighbors.
That's all I need to know, thank you.
Chair,
I know it's been moved.
One more,
just, hold
I
on,
just want to make sure that you
Has
got
it been
everything.
seconded?
Yes, it has.
Look,
I
I'll
just want to
second
make
it.
sure that you got everything that you needed to get on the record.
well, she might need more time, and I'll be happy for this body.
I mean, I think perhaps what I would like the opportunity to do is go back and get these letters of support since you are requesting them, because it's my understanding that the neighbors, again, as Commissioner De La Portilla pointed out, this is what's being told to me by my client, okay? And again,
It's
I believe-
hearsay, in other words.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's hearsay upon hearsay. As a trial lawyer, I can tell you it's
Yeah,
like
exactly,
triple
I know.
hearsay, yes.
Yeah, but now we're jumping from a block party that he went to, and just because he was tar and feather by the neighbors, because they're civilized, this is trying to be presented
Well,
as a sign of support, which it's not. And then from that, all of a sudden, we're jumping that they're going to get, supposedly, letters of support. Well, Counselor, if you had those letters of support, your client would have given them to you to bring here today.
Well, as I started to say a moment ago, I am sure Ms. Dooley can confirm for you that the neighbors have been quiet, that they have not been complaining, that my client, listen, when we had the other property, okay? It was sold as indicated. That property is gone. His intention here is to sell this property as well.
Yeah, but just because finally it appears that he's complying with the law doesn't do away
But he
everything
did.
that he did before.
So
I think some consideration should be given to that, Commissioner.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes,
Commissioner Reyes would like to say-
I want to address that statement. The neighbors have been quiet. Of course, they've been quiet because he's not renting anymore. Because he knows that he is now, I mean, in danger of having to pay a huge amount of money for what he have done before. I mean, you would have stopped renting too, and that's why the neighbors were not quiet, because before he stopped renting it, they were really, I mean, infringing on their quality of life and destroying it. And now when he stopped, there's no need to complain anymore.
He has taken this very seriously.
Yes, well, he's going to take it seriously when you have to pay more, and I think it's going to be an example to other people that we are not taking it lightly when you go to a neighborhood and you start destroying the quality of life of the neighborhood. I mean, there are consequences. There are consequences because that happened all over the city of Miami.
Commissioner
It's
Reyes.
happening all over.
Except I don't believe that
Ma'am,
any.
one second. Commissioner Koval?
Attorney, how much is this property? Because you said it was.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
How much is the property? How much is he expecting to sell it for?
I can't tell you
Or
what he's
market
expecting
value.
it to see, but I'm not sure how that's relevant to the fines,
No, I
to be
do think
honest.
it's relevant.
Well, I believe last I heard that it was listed for 14 million. I do not know that there were offers, but in all honesty, this issue has caused a problem with being able to sell the property. So I don't believe that there's any present pending contracts.
But listed for 14 million.
That's my understanding.
He can afford it.
Attorney?
Right, but so just to be clear, the sale of it or the value of it is not what's relevant here? It's
No, it
what-
is not.
I understand.
It is the conduct that
Right.
is relevant. Let's be
Thank you.
clear.
It's just-
It is
just
not
put
the
it-
value of the home.
Right,
It is the conduct of the owner. It is the nuisance that was put upon the neighbors repeatedly. They received repeated violations. They knew their conduct was intentional because they knew after receiving various fines, after receiving various complaints by the neighbors, they knew that their continued conduct was a nuisance, and they continued. They didn't care how it affected their neighbors, which is why I said they were bad actors. Is there anything else you'd like to put on the record?
No, ma'am.
And Madam Chairwoman, very quickly, I think Commissioner Cole was correct. While Madam City Attorney, it doesn't matter what the value or what he's listing it for legally, but I think it sort of puts it, in terms of common sense, it puts it in perspective. What the fine is and what the value he's trying to sell it.
I
So
was
it's sort
just
of
asking-
not only a bad actor, I think you're correct, not only a bad actor, but a guy who is almost to a level of,
I was just asking because
egregious
maybe he
behavior
cannot pay it.
and not caring about what happened to the quality of
So
life of
I
his
was just
neighbors.
wondering, because I was also thinking about the owner and the fact that maybe they're in a position where they couldn't pay. Who knows? That's why I'm asking.
And Commissioner, I can't answer that. I don't know what mortgages there are. I don't know the liquidity. I can't answer for you. And that's why, and I wasn't being flip with you when I said I just don't think
Right.
it's relevant, because I do agree with Commissioner King. It's the conduct, it's not the value of the property.
I text my neighbor, who is the president of the association on Belmead Island, to ask her, are the neighbors in support of an Airbnb, in support of the Airbnb neighbor? Capital letters, no, exclamation point. I never heard of any meeting with neighbors. The house is still being used as an Airbnb.
Well, again,
And
now
that's it.
now that you're having that contact, I believe I have a right to have
You do.
additional
So
contact.
what I'm going to do is defer this item to allow you to get the letters of support that you think that you can get from the neighbors, just so that we have a clean record. One more commission meeting isn't going to hurt us.
Madam Chairwoman, it's your district, and I'll defer to you and what you desire to do, but, you came out saying that you wanted to impose a full fine, I think.
And I will.
And we asked the questions that needed to be asked. We got some very important information. I think Commissioner Carollo is correct. If they would have had those letters, I guarantee you would have brought them. Absolutely. So now it's just deferral, and this is a bad actor. By the way, they're still operating the Airbnb there. Let me just finish, Commissioner, please.
That's an incorrect statement. They're not doing it.
Well, that's what the chairwoman just
Okay,
said.
but
right?
you talked about hearsay, Commissioner.
No. It's a chairwoman of the commission who just got a notice from a neighbor that said that they're still operating.
But
So
what
of
I'm
course
saying-
it's hearsay, but not,
Yes.
but probably less hearsay than what you stated earlier. But that's not the point. Let me finish. If it's impacting the quality of life of the neighborhood right now and it's still operating, every day that passes, that quality of life is impacted. So if I were to vote independently of you in terms of not taking what you're recommending for your district, which I will take, I would vote to fine them right now the full amount. That's what I would do. And I don't think anything's going to change my mind, because common sense tells me that there's not going to be any letters, that the impact on the neighborhood continues, and that we keep deferring this, or we defer it and we don't settle the problem. This guy can probably, or girl can probably afford it. Has engaged in egregious behavior, and the person should pay the consequences for that. I think Commissioner Carroll is correct in the sense that if you're a repeat offender, if you keep on doing the bad actions, then you have to pay for it. And to defer, if you want to do it, I'm with you, but only because you want to do it, not because I would do it myself if I
Vice Chair?
wasn't deferring.
If I may, I'm sorry, just to keep a few housekeeping matters. Madam Chair has advised in the past that she has spoken to the neighbors in her Jennings disclosure, and council, or her office has spoken to council. So I wanted to clarify that for the record. I also wanted to clarify that it would be appropriate then to let council also be able to get any letters of support that she may have.
That was not my question, because if Counselor knew we were having this meeting here today,
should have brought
so if they had access to getting any letters of support, they should have brought them today. So on that point, I'm not concerned about, because it was her obligation to get her client to give him, if they exist, or he could get him any letter of support today. This is a duly advertised meeting. Your client was advised of the meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be here today. So
That's right.
they had ample time for that. Now,
My request is based upon Commissioner King reaching out to a homeowner today.
Actually, my reaching out to my neighbor was based on your assertion that the neighbors are in support of you, and I needed to find out if the world turned upside down and I was completely
But again, that wasn't my statement.
Okay.
With all due
You
respect,
made
you're
this-
turning my
There.
statement upside down.
No, I am not turning your statement upside down. You made the statement
I
that the
did-
neighbors are in support, they had a meeting, then it was a party, it was a gathering, it was a, I don't know what
I
it
can't
was.
help it if you're not listening to what I'm saying, with all due respect. But I never said
I'm listening to you. And
I never said they were in support. I said that they are all getting along. That's a far
Madam Chair, I
cry.
have a question.
I
have a
understood
question.
that part.
I have a
Chair-
question as well.
Chair, I had the floor before, if I could finish it, because I think I could bring this to a quick close. I think I flushed the quail out already. And for those of you that don't understand that, it's a Southern saying that I was taught as a young man when they would take me quail hunting up in North Florida. Now, what I'm making my decision on, and I stated it here even before you read your text with your neighbor, is not about anything that has happened beyond what was given to us originally today. I don't care, I'm not basing my decision on your text with the neighbors. I'm basing my decision based upon what our staff has told us has been the history here already. Whether they're still doing rentals there or not, we don't know. We can't make a decision based on that. What I would greatly suggest, since we have the code enforcement director here, is that since he heard that we send somebody over there today. But it's got nothing to do with the decision we're making here. Maybe he'll send somebody there and say, hey, there's no rental here. So we can't make a decision in that. And
No,
I'm not going to make my decision based on that.
Right, I'm not making my decision
yeah.
based on that.
Right.
Merely on the facts and the evidence that we have before
The
us.
previous.
The previous.
Exactly.
That's
And that's where
it.
I'm going. Now,
Commissioner Reyes?
Madam,
Yes.
no, I'm not finished. Madam City
You
Attorney.
haven't?
You still have not answered my original question. That's the only area here that I need advice, legal advice on, and I'm ready to finish this today. Based upon the statements that our staff gave, counselor made, should we include, how much you say the difference was?
It was the difference between June and September, which
The-
I think
the-
Ms. Dooley said was $30,000.
An approximately.
It's more than that. It's 46,000 because it's really,
Well,
it's
whatever-
92 days.
I don't know the
That could be
facts,
deducted.
and neither does Ms. Dooley, so Mr. Santos would have to talk about the facts of
Okay,
what the difference
let's
is.
hear that, because this is the only area here that I think is maybe an area of concern, but outside of that, I think everything else is very clear to me, and that, from what I hear, is very clear to the rest of this body. Mr. Santos.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Santos Tarbona, Co-Compliance Director. So to the statement that there is recurring, so I just want to take a step back and to kind of reiterate the huge difference between recurring violations. We've had 8 violations in the history of this property, and a repeat. Repeat is significantly different, as you know, Commissioner, because it gets adjudicated here. The respondent is advised, you cannot do this anymore, and voila, in this case, they went back and did it again. And the council talked about life safety. We had complaints in the last event that was with support evidence, that there was drag racing in the street, et cetera, and we have the support evidence from law enforcement. So those are 2 very egregious issues. As it relates to the compliance date, I have no objection. We don't have any support evidence that it did not happen after the date that the Madam Attorney is saying. She may have been in June 1st that they stopped. So we can readjust that. Lastly, we have absolutely no evidence that at this point in time is happening again. And I'll be more than delighted to go ahead and remonitor and go out there. Commissioner Reyes, your point. The neighbors are pleased because it's not happening, and they would like very much for them to vacate.
So my only question is you have no evidence that from June forward, it was still going on.
Correct.
Okay, so I think with that in the record, the only difference of what I feel we should do here, we would figure out what the amount is between June and September and take that out of the full amount, since we have no evidence of that. That's been placed on the record. And my motion would be that minus that, which we cannot prove in a court of law, that we find them the rest, whatever the amount would be. I think it's going to be
46.
200 plus thousand,
Yeah,
plus the 5,000.
I brought my calculator.
Yeah,
for you.
that was done. But if you guys could calculate it right, and I will make a motion on that amount today, so this doesn't keep extended
Hold on a
anymore. And lastly, let me say this. Commissioner, you're lucky that in this particular area of your district, you have people that understand English well, that understand their rights well, that have a commissioner like you that they could go to and speak to, and stand up for their rights. But see, even in many areas of your district, like Little Haiti, certainly a huge area, if not just about all of Little Havana in my district, huge areas of Commissioner Diaz-Portilla's district, Commissioner Ray's district. There's a lot of people that don't understand the language well, that have no idea what to do, where to go, and they'll make a phone call here and there, but if someone's connected and they just brush it aside, or we have employees that, aren't as caring as others, then those people have no one, absolutely no one to protect them unless they have a commissioner like you, a commissioner in their district that will stand up for them and be their voice. And this is what I've been fighting for from day one that I got here. Examples like this. Thank God that this character is not going out and saying, I held a party here. One of those parties was for Commissioner King's opponent. And she's targeting me. She's targeting me. And this is the kind of stuff that we as a body have a right and must protect our residents, their quality of life, their health and safety, because if we're not going to do it, then who's going to be out there for them, protecting them, especially the most needed?
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, I have two questions. First question is that what Commissioner Carollo is proposing, that we, from the alleged time that they have not had any violations, which we don't know if they had rented it or not, because you didn't have people there, to now that we will deduct that that amount. We will make a calculation, and then the fine will be reduced for that amount. Hold on a second. My question is, are we setting a precedent, or have we? This has been done before? Because in the time that I have been here, we have never done that. Because we have said, you are not being in compliance, now you want to come in compliance. It was since this day to this day to today, and that's it. That's the first one.
We've done it before when
Okay,
there's a discrepancy.
that was my question. That takes care of that.
We have.
Another thing that I want to make perfectly clear, because we cannot also set a precedent that a person that had total disregard for their neighbors, total disregard for the quality of life of that neighborhood, a person that was an absentee owner because he didn't live in the house and he was not, he didn't have to endure what was going on in the neighborhood, Now, goes forever and ever, making a lot of money, and now wants us to reduce the fine because now he just kissed and make up with the neighbors because he had a drink with them because they met in the middle of the street. And that is not right. We have to set examples here. I mean, and it is needed that we send a message that we are protecting our neighborhood. And those people, and I had cases in my neighborhood, in Flag Army, that homes were used at Airbnb and they were destroying, and you know that. Right. And you know that. They were destroying the neighborhood. Completely. They were a nuisance. Well, there have to be consequences. You have to know if you break the law, you see, you don't want to pay, don't do it. Don't do it. If you're caught, you have to pay. It's just like that old saying, you can't do the time or you cannot pay the fine, don't do the crime. You see? Don't do it.
Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I believe that we have a motion, Commissioner Carollo, on the floor. So we would have to amend that motion or withdraw that motion first. And
You're correct.
would you like to amend it? So the total amount?
Look,
well, let me just phrase it and tell me if this is what you want. 'Cause I want to
Commissioner, would you?
What I'd like to.
Yeah, let me just ask you.
I need one more question
Okay.
because.
And then I want to continue.
The point that Commissioner Reyes made is a good observation. It's a good point.
Yes.
The only reason that I made this motion in this fashion was because I thought I heard, if I'm wrong, you tell me. Counselor, you tell me if I'm wrong, that they had provided something to the effect in the process that we had, that they had to provide you with something they would show that they had complied, and we decided not to immediately check into it and wait longer to see if that would happen or not. That's the difference. I'm not sure, maybe I misunderstood it. If I did, then I'll go with Commissioner King's original motion.
At the time, yes, there were emails sent. I know that the director wasn't here at that time. There were emails sent on that date, and so I do agree with the representation of
And if I could
council as to
remind
that
you.
date.
But there were
I apologize
emails
for-
sent that
We
what?
also provided you with an affidavit.
Right, yeah, as of the June 1st date.
Yeah, we
So,
provided
yes.
an affidavit that as of June 1st, everything, we had researched it, we had spoken to Airbnb and VRBO, and we provided an affidavit that we were off those site, everything as of June 1, 2022.
Madam Chairwoman, can I get the floor back?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to be clear. So now you're saying, the administration is saying that you accept in essence, Commissioner Carollo's amendment to the motion on the floor, which is that to eliminate the 47K, more or less, right, 47 and change, between June 1st and September, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the total, no, please.
Yes, go ahead.
The total amount minus 47,000 will be the amendment to Commissioner Carollo's proposal, right? Is that correct, Commissioner Carollo?
That's what I had placed, and only because that's the only nail that they could bring if they wanted to appeal to a court of law. And I think that, based on what I'm hearing,
It's
you know,
it's
we would-
46,000.
Well, I'm going to get there in a
Plus
minute when
5,000.
Commissioner Carollo finishes. I'm going to
Yeah.
get there in a minute. Because I want to get the exact amount.
well, we need the exact
Yeah,
amount.
the exact to the penny.
If we amend the affidavit of compliance to June 1st,
Okay.
the exact amount is 224,500 plus the 5,000 irreparable. The total amount is 229,500.
Okay, so that will be your amendment to the motion, correct?
Plus 5,000.
It's in
That's
there,
included. So
That's
it's-
included.
So it's
229,500. Yes, sir.
And I
And
want
0
to
cents.
0 cents.
Okay.
I want to be clear, so that, as Commissioner Reyes says, we don't set a precedent.
No.
The only reason we're doing that here is because of the statements that were made,
Correct.
that they have sent through the process an affidavit of compliance, letters of compliance, but it was not acted upon by our staff.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes? Is that correct?
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a big difference, correct?
Yes.
That's not happening today anymore with you here.
No, sir. We have no complaints. Our after-hour teams has been doing a very good job, and we've been monitoring, et cetera. We have had no complaints for this property.
But you were not here, right?
Well, I've been here since,
No, but you weren't the
for now
director.
nearly 2 years, and we've been, and I was present when there was an event where, with the drag racing and the exotic animal,
Okay.
that they have Fish and Wildlife permits, et cetera, et cetera. So I am aware of all the issues at this property.
Okay.
You said exotic animal, that was a tiger?
Yes, sir, there was. And they did have a Fish and Wildlife permit, but created a lot of ruckus.
I know we have a lot of work to do today, but that's very interesting. I want you to tell me the tiger story off the record, okay?
Yes, fair enough. We can
I
remove
want to
that.
hear that story.
So we have a motion and a second,
As amended.
as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Yours.
A tiger.
Wild parties, a tiger.
Don't leave yet, okay? I need some fun in my afternoon.
Which brings us to our second reading ordinances.
Yes.
Victoria,
Start reading.
can you start reading the titles for the record?
You made a good point.
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission authorizing deviations from standards for temporary banners set forth in Chapter 62, Article 13, Division 8 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Planning and Zoning Approval for Temporary Uses and Occupancies, Permit Required, Temporary Banners for such permits issued within a portion of the Central Business District for display in connection with the Miami Formula One Grand Prix between April 15, 2023 and May 15, 2023, establishing terms and conditions in order to regulate the activities for temporary banners, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an immediate effective date.
Do I have a motion for SR1?
I'll move it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Madam City Attorney, would you please read our FR items into the record? And please note that Commissioner Reyes is a co-sponsor on FR1.
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 38, Article 1 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Parks and Recreation, in general, by amending Section 38-26, titled Naming of Officer Manuel Gomez Mounted Patrol Facility at Loomis Park, more specifically by renaming the City of Miami's Police Mounted Patrol Facility located at 360 Northwest 3rd Street, Miami, Florida, the Officer Manuel Gomez Mounted Facility, directing the city manager to take all administrative actions necessary to effectuate the renaming of said facility.
Mr. Clerk, can you include me as a sponsor there too?
Yes, sir.
Officer Gomez rode the horse during the time that I was mayor. So it's someone that I know, and I know that he had a intense love for Miami, for Little Havana, and he provided an excellent service to our city and was great with the tourists and visitors.
I would also like to be included as a co-sponsor. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Clerk. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
So I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have DI2, discussion item 2, quarterly report on non-reimbursable expenses.
Which one now?
DI2.
Oh, DI2. We jumped.
Discussion item 2, the quarterly report on non-reimbursable expenses.
Where did I miss the, okay, here it is. Okay.
Good morning, Erica Pascal with the City of Miami Finance Department.
Good morning.
DI2 is a quarterly report of all expenditures incurred but not reimbursable for the quarter ending December 31st, 2022, per our financial integrity principles, and I'm happy to report there are no expenditures to report at this time.
Thank you. That brings us to our PZ items.
Madam Chair, before we go to the PZ items, I just wanted to confirm that RE6 was captured as amended when we did the southwest to southeast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So actually, we now have our boards and committees. BC1, the Liberty City Trust.
If I may, Chairwoman, I'd like to make a motion that will keep all the chairs or commission representatives as they are now in all the boards. We've
We
taken this
deferred
up
that
fairly
item.
late into the year, so
We
there's
deferred.
only about eight more months left.
Right, we deferred that item.
we deferred that
We
item?
deferred that
Oh, okay.
indefinitely.
All right, so,
Indefinitely.
okay.
So now we're on our boards and committees. Mr. City Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. BC1, Liberty City Community Revitalization Trust. Chair King will be appointing Carrie Johnson, Emma Ladson, Samuel Lattimore, and Vernal Roll. And City Manager Noriega will be appointing Mark Stallworth.
Move.
All in favor?
Is that
Aye.
Doran Roll's son?
No.
No, okay. All right.
Motion carries unanimously.
And Chair, I have one non-agenda item for the Urban Development Review Board. Commissioner Reyes is requesting a forfeits residency waiver pursuant to City Code Section 2-884, subsection B, for Agustin Barrera, who was appointed to the board on January 26, 2023.
I'll move it.
Second.
What board is that?
Urban Development Review Board, sir.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair.
Madam City Attorney, would you please read the remaining PZ items into the record?
Okay, PZ3. PZ3 is a resolution, so I don't have to read that one. And then I believe PZ8.
8, 9, and 10.
8, 9, and 10.
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by amending Article 5, Section 5.6.2 of the Miami 21 Code titled Specific to Zones, Building Configurations and Illustrations, 5.6, titled Urban Core Transit Zones, to allow additional flexibilities in office and commercial floor plate area above the 8th floor, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ9, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by amending Article 1, Section 1.1, titled Definitions, Definitions of Building Function Uses, Section 1.2, titled Definitions of Terms, Article 3, Section 3.4, titled General to Zones, Density and Intensity Calculations, Article 4, Table 3, titled Standards and Tables, Building Function Uses, Table 4, titled Density, Intensity, and Parking, Article 6, Table 13, titled Supplemental Regulations, and Article 7, Section 7.2, titled Procedures and Nonconformities, Structures, Uses, Lots, Site Improvements, and Signs to allow to establish definitions and regulations for co-living residential uses containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ10, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by amending Article 7 of the Miami 21 Code titled Procedures and Nonconformities to provide for insurance certificates of use in certain limited instances where a property or building on a property is subject to pending code compliance and building violations containing a severability clause and providing for an immediate effective date.
Madam Chair, I have a question on PC9, what is called co-living, which is a new name for dorms. See, I mean, they are reinventing the dorms that we have at every single university. You mentioned parking, and they are going to keep the reduction in parking in this, or we are going to request that they provide the amount of parking that is required. Because I know that if we do a reduction in parking, you see, people are going to be parking all over. Because there is a fact that although we pray that people don't use their cars and they become pedestrians and bicycles and cyclists, and they use a non-existent mass transit that we have in Dade County, by reducing traffic, we are creating problems for the neighborhood. And also, I'm afraid, that's one thing that I am afraid, that now we limit this to a certain geographic area. But I'm afraid that this is going to be become popular, and they will try to force us into accepting them in different areas. And I don't want that. And I know that I don't think that or the other commissioners want that type of building that they have 4 people, 6 people living to an apartment and calling co-living, and they don't have a place to park, and we allow them to be, give them a density and the amount of people living in an apartment, and bring them so many people close to a neighborhood. I still have my doubts about this. I have a lot of doubts about it, and I believe that this could be detrimental to any neighborhood or close to single-family homes, and even places that you have duplexes and all that.
Let's have the director weigh in on that.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. For clarification, this legislation applies to 4 overlays in the city. So they're in areas that have mode transportation options. But to your original question, right now it's requesting a half a parking space per unit. So that's basically less than what's required today. So it would be 1 per unit, sir. In those areas that would be applicable. So that would be in the Transect T5, T6, and Civic, and also in the D Transect.
I cannot in a clear conscience, and you know the way that I have always been, I have been always demanding the amount of parking that every apartment should have by code. That I don't believe in reduction of parking because I have seen it. You just go to around the school board buildings and all those construction that had so much reduction on parking. People are parking in the sidewalks, and it is a mess. It is a mess. So in a clear conscience, I cannot vote for this unless some modifications are made.
Look, Madam Chairwoman, it's 4 areas in the city of Miami, correct? Can you tell me what those 4 areas are? I know what they are, but can you put on the record what they are?
Yes, sir.
Where they are?
So it would be in NRD 1 and 2, which is located in District 5, Urban Central Business District, which is located in District 5 and 2, and also in District 3, and then it would also fall in the Health District, which is primarily in District 1.
Correct. So give me exact addresses, more or less. What avenue and what street?
For purposes of avenues and boundaries, so the NRD 1 and 2 would be south of 195, and that it would start to end around Northwest 21st Terrace.
Well, it can't be south of I-95. It could be east or west.
395, I'm sorry.
395, okay.
Yes.
All right, so again, tell me 395?
Yes, it's south of 395, and then it's east of I-95, sir, for NRD 1 and 2.
Well, east of I-95?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the second one?
The second one, the Health District, would be south of Northwest 21st Terrace.
That one I know. The third one?
The third one would be the Urban Central Business District, which is also south of Northwest 21st Terrace. It would go all the way over to I-95, so that would be the western boundary that it would end, and then it goes all the way down south to primarily Southwest 11th Street.
Southwest 11th Street.
Yes, sir.
And what transportation corridors are available there for that one, for number 3?
So with the Urban Central Business District, there is the People Mover, sir, that's currently affixed stations. Primarily, there's a lot of transit, which in regards to buses.
Is that one east of 95?
The People Mover?
I know where the People Mover is. Is that still east of 95?
The district?
Obviously, right?
Yes.
I just wanted for the record so we understand that we're not doing this in the entire city.
Exactly.
And I concur with Commissioner Reyes. I have the same issue. In fact, I was dealing with a constituent yesterday that has the same parking issue. The current requirements are limited. That's why we have a lot of affordable housing units that don't have places for the nurses and the healthcare workers or the family to visit. They have no place to park. The MPA, your former agency, Mr. Manager, is putting meters all over the place in front of these low-income housing units. So the healthcare workers, this is happening in all our districts. The healthcare workers that are going there that make $12 an hour have to pay a meter now to be able to visit the elderly resident that needs care, medical care. So in essence, this is a problem in many parts of our city, but this issue, Commissioner Reyes, does not really impact those areas. This is really near transit corridors and transportation options that are available. And that's why I'm supporting it, because I think that, I agree with you, because yesterday and last week, I had the same issue with 2 different buildings. The people cannot park, and by the way, on top of that, the other issue that we have, just to make the point, is that someone called a towing company, and a towing company comes in and they tow these people. So they're afraid to go because they're going to get towed. So they get hit with a $200 bill. All they're doing is providing health care to our seniors. So I understand your concern. I have a lot of seniors. I have 17 low-income housing units in my district. I'm almost done, Commissioner. So in essence, I understand your concern. It only impacts these 4 areas. Tell me the 4th area for the record that we're talking about, and then I'll end my questioning.
So for the record again, sir, it's in NRD1, NRD2, University Central.
No, you did the first 3, do the 4th.
The 4th
boundaries, yeah.
So the boundaries for the health district, so we covered that one, sir.
Yes.
The urban central business district, we covered that one, sir. And then the NRD1, NRD2, that's the 4 combined.
Oh, okay,
Yes, sir.
combined. Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And
Commissioner
I wanted to add to that, Commissioner Reyes, the situation with the shared, I would say, dorms or whatever we want to call them, is that we have a lot of people that are actually coexisting in properties, and they do it illegally. So I think that for the urban core, where people can use transportation, this could be a solution for the lack of housing that we have. Of course, it has to be in the right areas, and it has to be in areas where people are even sharing cars. They're carpooling. And I think most of the people that are going to live in this type of properties are probably young professionals or employees that cannot live in the city of Miami.
And I can add to that, because this affects my district. And one of the projects that we're going to be having coming on board is with the Bakehouse Art Complex. Our artists are extremely low income, and this co-living is going to be a game changer for them. It is going to be a game changer, and there's not going to, they are progressive. They use our pedestrian, they use our mass transit, they take advantage of.
You're not really helping your argument too much right there.
No, but for the parking, because unfortunately, there's so many people that are living in my district that need this co-living because they can't afford the astronomical rents that are asked, so they have to share.
And the health district is
And
another
the
good
health
example.
district, yes, so this is going to be.
So it's not artists in my health district, but it is healthcare workers.
Now it's my turn. Now it's my turn.
Commissioner Reyes.
That's what they know. I asked for it. Okay, you see, let me say this. I mean, Madam Chair, because I am concerned about this. You call the people that live there progressive. I am regressive then?
No.
Okay.
No, but they
Madam
want-
Chair, let me make my point. Let me make my point. Let me make my point. I believe that in certain areas, for example, close to Miami-Dade College in your district, close to University of Miami, we have students that they are going to go there. But I believe that we are dreaming to think that everybody that is going to use those apartments, they will be using mass transit. If we had an existing mass transit system, I will agree with you 100%. And those people, doesn't matter if you are next to Metro Rail. If you work on Doral, you need a car to go to work there. If you work, definitely you need a car. Or any other place. You live in Kendall, you need it. So what I want to do, and I don't want to, kill this, because I see that you guys, you're going to vote for it. But I want to make sure that this is the only area that this co-living are going to be allowed. Because my fear is
that once we vote in favor of this, anybody could come and ask for the same right, or it will take it to us to court, and we will have to change for them the zoning for, so they will be capable of building some co-living in Flagami or in Little Havana, in areas, just because a bus route passes by, just because we have routes in 8th Street. I mean, I'm afraid that we will demand the right to build in 8th Street because we have a route, in a bus route in the street, or in Flagler because they have it, or in 27th Avenue. You see, that's if we can gonna do this. I want Madam City Attorney to prepare legislation that it is going to be there and only there, that they cannot proliferate on any other area of the city. They could be built in Coconut Grove very easily. Very easily. You have a bus route, you see? Whatever, when they talk about transit system, it is anything that carries people, you see? You know what I mean? You understand my fear? Are you sure that they cannot come to 8th Street or 27th Avenue or 17th Avenue or Flagler or whatever and ask for, demand because they will demand that we give them the same zoning privilege that they have in this area?
So right now, it's only allowed in 4 areas.
Right now.
Unless you change it in the future.
They'll change it in the future, and that's what's going to happen. When we get all those progressive people, because I'm progressive, sitting in here, they're going to do it all over the town.
Madam Chair.
Wait, Vice Chair Corio would like to say something.
Thank you. Now that you all have kind of put your 2 cents into it, I'd like to put my 1.
I want 10 cents from you.
This is something that both Commissioner Reyes and I have been very verbal on different times. And his concern is my concern, but it's even more so because somewhere in there I heard District 3. And I want to see an actual map. I want to be able to go through what areas of my district this is going to affect, because I will tell you, with the exception of maybe, and I'll say it the 3rd time, maybe, a sliver of my district, that's the West Brickell side, the rest of my district is going to be affected big time if we take parking away. And into what Commissioner Reyes said, just because you have a trolley or a bus, that's not real transportation in Miami. So what has been happening is that since in the past, before I got here again, there were some changes made that I think we readjusted them not long ago. You had smaller developers come in and build with basically no requirement for parking. Anybody that feels differently from what Commissioner Reyes stated, what I'm stating now, I invite you to go Little Havana, practically any neighborhood of Little Havana at night, and you're going to see what we're talking about. There's no parking because it starts back in the 20s, the 30s, in commissions that were here that kept approving these cookie cutter places. There were 3 stories. Small little rooms, 20 plus to 30, or sometimes more, in a 3-story building with no parking. Rarely did you have any parking. And then you combine it with all the additional buildings that some got through, again, with no parking. And you know what? The working people, the blue-collar people that live in those areas, they need a car because in a county that's as large and widespread as this, that has such a horrible form of transportation, just because a bus or a trolley is going to go by 8th Street or 7th Street, doesn't mean that, oh my God, you got public transportation, you don't need a car. Baloney. You need a car, and we all know that in a place like Miami. Somewhat of a difference if you're here in 27th, 37th, in US 1, where you got Metro Rail that goes right by. At least it gets you up to Dayland. It gets you through Brickell, downtown. In downtown, you could get the People Mover. It'll bring you even to a part of Hialeah. Now, if you work in those areas, yeah, absolutely, then that works if you're connected or right close by to a Metro Rail station. But if you're going to sell me the bus or trolleys is not the form of transportation that would truly require people not to have, or give the opportunity of people not to have a car. Sadly, people need cars here, and we don't have parking. This is one of the areas that I've been speaking to the manager since he was the executive director of off-street parking. I keep speaking to him and to the new executive director there. We need to come up with parking in Little Havana because the residents need it, but the business need them. If even now, without any growth, the employees of the business don't have where to park, they're parking in the neighborhoods, so they're taking the spots away from people in neighborhoods. And that's not even including when people come, whether it's in the daytime, in the evening, you have special events, there's nowhere to park. And it's a real, real problem. So in this item, I'm going to ask that if we could just defer it to the next meeting, because I need to be really straight on my district on what is there. And I might have to ask, depending on what I'm shown, for that area, whatever it covers in my district, to be reconsidered.
I don't want to defer it because we have in my district some projects coming on board that needs this. And let me just say also, sadly, not everyone can afford a car. And that is what I am facing in my district. Not everyone can afford a car. Everyone can't travel, although our transit system isn't the best. And I know, but I have constituents that have to rely on that transit system. I have to speak to the folks with the trolley system. I met with some seniors yesterday, and they advised me that the trolley doesn't run on schedule, but they depend on that trolley to get them back and forth to the grocery and the pharmacy. And there are segments of our community, like my district, that must rely on public transportation and ride shares.
I want to help you like I know that you've seen that I've done since you come here. I would just like then for the area in District 3 to be taken out.
coming to me? I like that, I like that.
And then Commissioner Kovo, and then I'd first like to hear from the zoning director.
Well, I'm going to go there because I think Commissioner Carroll has a point. So let me ask,
Okay.
I'll be brief. And I think this really falls squarely in the administration because obviously in the district that I represent, District 1, the health district, that makes a lot of sense, right?
Of course.
For the nurses and the...
You got Metro Rail.
And I got a Metro Rail right there, so that makes sense. But it falls squarely on the administration because this is what you provided us. You provide us a map of the city of Miami, and you have little dots. Instead of providing individual maps for every district so everybody can see specifically, it's described in here, one by one, but the map itself, if you look at the map, it's just the city of Miami and little points. So we don't know the boundaries north, south, east, west, and you should have prepared the commission with a specific map so we know, even the health district map, which is what's called the health district, that area doesn't give us what avenue, what street. So there's a lack of information, and there are commissioners that are impacted, and Commissioner Carroll is concerned because, and he's correct, because in my district I have the same parking issue. Probably more than Commissioner Reyes and probably equal to you in terms of affordable housing, a little bit more than Commissioner Reyes, but much more for us, where people are complaining on a weekly basis, not on a every other day, on the parking situation. So I'm very sensitive to that. I appear to be a swing vote today because the part of my district that's included is good for me. It's good for the people that I represent. It's good for nurses.
You or is it Commissioner Cohen's?
No, Commissioner, I think it's 2-2. If I can read body language and face language, if such exists, I can tell it's 2-2 or 3-2. So to me, but I concur with you, Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Reyes, that you're correct. A more specific map, if you want to carve out some areas like we did with scooters and other things along the way, if it makes sense, if it creates undue burden and traffic congestion and 5 cars parked in front of a house, which I've seen, and it's a reality that people are not, Miami is a car city. It remains a car city. This is not New York, it's not Chicago, this is a car city. People use cars to go 4 blocks or 3 blocks. In New York, they'll walk 15, 20 blocks, okay? Or 2 blocks. Because of heat and for whatever reason, the culture. So in essence, I think it's better, Madam Chairwoman.
The weather.
The weather, of course. I will, but New York has heat waves and people still walk 20 blocks, but those are New Yorkers, they don't really count. So I think that a map for every commission district, well, I don't mind if they come to Miami, just leave your politics behind, right, kind of thing. But anyway, but if we provide maps of all the 4 areas to every commissioner, that way everybody can be, satisfied that they know what they're doing, and me included, I want to know what boundaries are included with how you define the health district. There's expansion of the health district taking place right now. So I want to make sure that makes sense. I think Commissioner Carolina and Reyes are correct in the sense that they have a right to look at their district, how it's impacted. I don't think your district is impacted at all, Commissioner Reyes. But I know Commissioner Carolina's is.
Wait.
No, let me finish. I'm done.
It's my turn,
Hold on, it's your
Commissioner
turn,
Reyes.
but I'm not done
It is
yet.
not impacted. I am just saying, yes, it is not impacted, but I am concerned about the future of this.
Right.
But as for the
And how much
future,
it's going to affect.
as for the future, I think that it's important that we see that the real magic in Miami is that we are so diverse that we're going to have to learn how to legislate for different areas because the needs of our district are not the same. My district is impacted by a lot of parking situations, but parts of my district are gonna be without parking because we also need the affordable component. And what concerns me is that we have houses where 6 and 7 people are living already illegally. And like I mentioned before, maybe that amount of people that are living illegally in a house that can only host 4, I've seen even 7 people in an apartment. One time I found a family in Edgewater, 6 people in an apartment. So what I'm thinking is that parking reduction is going to come because the city grew vertical. We just need to make sure that, to your point, Commissioner Carollo and Reyes, we need to make sure that this is not going to be for all of the city. So, but we do have an issue with the amount of cars and the bad transit system that we have.
But I'm sorry, Commissioner. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, I didn't finish. I'm going to finish now. I think that every commissioner should have the boundaries of their, I'll repeat it. And for that reason, I'm going to move that we defer the item to the next meeting and everybody has a chance to look at it. And they want to carve out areas, and Commissioner Carollo in their district, and I may want to carve out parts of what they're doing in my district. I know in your area, you're in agreement with it. Most of your area is going to fall under that, because you have people mover and everything else. But there's a lot of areas in Coconut Grove, for example, in your district that may not want this.
Workers in Coconut Grove are also in need, like Commissioner Reyes mentioned, of transportation. But I've also heard part of the community saying, okay, maybe we can live in the district and work in the district, because that's the other issue. People don't wanna drive 2 hours to work in the city of Miami if they need to sit in traffic. So that's a different situation. Again, we're changing.
And that's a side point. You have to find that
So I
balance.
have a motion?
Wait, hold on a second. Jesus. Well, it's not even lunchtime yet.
The man expressing himself.
The lunch, let me express myself. I know, but I'm waiting for my lunch to arrive at 12. I didn't know. I don't want Commissioner Corvo to get used to the fact that meetings end before lunchtime. That does not happen here. Today is an anomaly.
I would be super happy. My daughter woke up at 4 in the morning.
So what I'll do is I'll move to defer to the next meeting.
To the next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So PZ9 has been deferred to the April 13th meeting. Do I have a motion to pass?
Move it, 8 and 10.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
10, I'd like to defer also. This is not quite clear, and I know, Mr. Manager, that on Tuesday, I was not available for reasons that you know, to be able to meet with staff and yourself, but 10, I really wanted to understand it and see what changes we're really going to make. So I'd like to defer 10.
Do I have a motion to defer PZ10?
I'll move to defer PC 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And again, that is to April 13th.
To April 13th, yes. So
April 13 only.
the only thing left now is PZ3 and PZ8. Do I have a motion?
I'll move PC 3 and PC 8.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this concludes the City of Miami Commission meeting for March 23rd, 2023. Thank you all for coming.